Park here today with Regional Park's online programming. We are at the spawning channel at Mission Creek Regional Park in Kelowna on the traditional territory of the Okanagan Silks people. My name is Risty. I am a park interpreter with Regional Parks. Behind the camera is James. We of course will be keeping our physical distance and allowing for lots of room for park users to keep their physical distance from us. If you have any questions or comments at any time, you can relay them to James and he will pass them on to me. And we are at the spawning channel to talk about Kokanee salmon and to discover that spring is the start of a new chapter in the life of Kokanee salmon. Everyone is familiar with the Kokanee salmon that leave Okanagan Lake in the fall and swim upstream places like Mission Creek and at the spawning channel. Those Kokanee salmon will lay their eggs in September, but this time of the year is the next part of the story when those eggs that have hatched and developed into small fish that we call fry, those fry are swimming down to Okanagan Lake to start the next part of their journey. So today we are going to release some Kokanee salmon fry that we have been raising in a special fish tank at the Eco since September. And Kokanee salmon are landlocked salmon. So by landlocked, I mean they spend their entire life cycle in the freshwater system like the Okanagan Lake watershed. So Kokanee salmon are sockeye salmon that became trapped in freshwater thousands of years ago when glacier movement blocked off access to the ocean. So sockeye salmon, coho salmon, other types of salmon will migrate to the ocean. Kokanee salmon have adapted to live their whole life cycle in fresh water. These guys will go down to Okanagan Lake and then they'll come back to this spot to spawn. They will never go to the ocean. So the fry that we're releasing today, of course, started out as eggs in September. We took eggs just like this out of the spawning channel and put them in a special fish tank, and the staff here at Mission Creek Regional Park have been taking care of those eggs since September. By around Christmas time, the eggs develop these two black dots. Any guesses what the black dots are? The black dots are eyes, so we call them eyed eggs. Right after Christmas, the eggs hatch, and we call them alevin. And you can see how the alevin have a yolk sac on their belly, and the yolk sac has all the food and nutrients that they need, because at this stage they're still hiding in the rocks at the bottom of the creek or the stream. And then next they grow, develop into fry. And you can see the yolk sac is gone. They've used up their yolk sac. So that's really one of the main reasons why the fry swim back downstream to the lake, because they need to look for food. And they're eating zooplankton, which are tiny aquatic animals, anywhere from the size of a pinprick to the size of a small, the end of a small fish hook. So I don't know if you want to take a peek at the Kokanee salmon fry that we have in our bucket. You can get a good look at them. So these are the fry that we took as eggs in September. So we took eggs out of the spawning channel. We've been looking after those eggs, well, since September. They hatched and they've grown up and developed into fry, and they're ready now to be released. The fry that were in the spawning channel already all winter, they have already made their way down to Okanagan Lake in search of food. Once they hatch as alevin, after their yolk sac is used up, those fry will swim around the nest of rocks. They'll swim around the red. The nest is called a red. They'll swim around that area for a little bit, but eventually they have to make their way down to the lake or they'll starve to death because they need to find food in the lake. So these guys, we've held on to them for a little bit longer, so they're a bit bigger, a bit stronger, just to give them more of a chance to survive once we release them. And they will get down to the lake. They have to get down to the lake within 5 days or they'll starve to death. Because the spawning channel, the creek, it's just not the right habitat for them. They have to get down to the lake where they will form schools with other kokanee fry, and they'll grow in the lake for about 3 or 4 years until they are adult spawners, and they will return to the creek here to spawn. And of course, every September we have a new batch of salmon that have reached maturity and are ready to spawn. But these guys in the bucket today, if any of them make it to adulthood, then in 3 or 4 years they will be mature enough to come back and spawn. So just to demonstrate a little bit more where we are, so we have the egg stage, which we saw, the alevin once they hatch, and the fry, where we are now. They're ready to make their way to the lake in search of food. There's something called smolt, but that's more for the ocean salmon like the sockeye and coho. Once they're in the lake, they grow into an adult called a silver because they're silver in color. And in about 3 or 4 years, when they're mature, we call them a spawner. And that's when you see all the changes take place. Their skin turns red, the males get that hooked mouth on them, and they come back upstream to spawn and die. And they die because they use up all their energy to swim upstream and to produce the eggs or produce the milt, and there's just nothing left and they are spent and they die. So we've got a bucket of water from the stream. You can see that it's kind of murky, and the water from the tank is nice and clear. Now this water from the stream, it's perfectly safe and clean for the fish, but of course it has soil and sediment and minerals that the tank water doesn't have. So I'll fill my cup up with some of the stream water, and then I fill my cup up the rest of the way with some tank water, and that's just to help the fry slowly get used to their new environment, because it's all a bit of a shock for them. See if I can catch one right away. Look at that. There we go. We got one in the cup. I'm gonna put my hand over top because kokanee salmon, they're excellent swimmers, they're excellent jumpers. I don't want them to jump out of the cup. And even though these fry have spent their entire life so far in the fish tank, they still have their natural instincts, and their instincts tell them to hide from predators like ducks and other fish. We have rainbow trout that will come swim up the creek and swim up the spawning channel looking to snack on fry. So when I release this little guy, he's actually going to go and hide in the rocks somewhere, and he'll come up at night, and then under the cover of darkness he'll swim quickly downstream to Okanagan Lake. There he goes. Don't climb over the fence when you come to the park. You can only do it when I'm here. Alright, so I'm going to tilt the cup upstream. I'm going to submerge it in the water just a bit, just to give the fish more time to get used to his new environment. And then when he's ready, he'll swim out of the cup. He's not too sure. He's actually imprinting right now. So he's smelling the water. Is he in there? He's still in there. He's smelling the water, and he'll use that sensory information to find his way back as an adult in 3 or 4 years. So right now is a pretty crucial moment for the fry because they're imprinting all the information in the water, and they'll hold on to that information for the rest of their life, and it's what will help them navigate back to this water as an adult salmon. He's not too sure. He had life pretty good in the fish tank. He's maybe thinking he wants to go back, but he's got to come out. He's got to go look for his own food. He's got to swim downstream, down into Okanagan Lake, form a school with other Kokanee salmon. Maybe I'll give him a little bit of encouragement here.
There he goes.
And he's gone.
There she goes.
There he goes. There she goes. That fish will hide under a rock, and when it's nighttime, under the safety of darkness, he'll shoot down to Okanagan Lake, where he'll live for 3 or 4 years, and maybe we'll see him back here in 3 or 4 years spawning.
Hello.
So if you're just tuning in, we're at the spawning channel at Mission Creek Regional Park in Kelowna. We're releasing Kokanee salmon fry into the spawning channel. These are fry that came from eggs that were spawned in September. Those eggs have hatched and developed, and now they are fry that are ready to go back into the spawning channel and join all of their fish friends at the lake. And speaking of friends, we have some friends here who are going to help us release some of the Kokanee salmon fry. We have Zachary and his brother Oliver. Big fans, big friends. Hi.
Hi, Zach. Hi, Oliver. Would you guys like to release some Kokanee salmon fry?
Sure. Yeah, let's
Okay.
release some fry. So you guys are professionals. Yeah, you're right. Half of the stream water, and then half of the cup with the tank water, and I'll stand back and give you some room. There you go, and I will catch a fry for you. You jumped right out of my net. Did you see that?
Yeah.
You guys want to come up with some names for your fry before you release them?
Sure.
What do you
Okay.
think? Oh, you got him? That looks like a skippy. No.
This guy's name, Racer.
Racer?
That suits him. What about this
What's
guy?
your fry's name, Oliver?
Speedy.
Speedy?
Racer and Speedy. I like
Those
it.
are some good names.
So you remember you have to tilt the cup upstream? Yeah. And then they'll go. They're going to smell the water a bit. They're going to remember that information to find their way back in 3 or 4 years. Got it?
Yeah. It's not gone yet.
It takes a couple of minutes sometimes for them to get acclimatized to the water.
Water is cold.
Yeah, it's cold. They love the cold water.
He's gone.
Is he gone?
Yeah.
So he's gone somewhere. He's going to hide out, wait until nighttime. Is he gone too?
Yeah.
So that was what? Speedy and Racer?
Bye, Speedy. Bye, Racer.
Bye, Speedy. Bye, Racer. See
I
ya.
think he hit his ground.
See you in 3 or 4 years, hopefully. And then you can just toss the empty cups there in the recycling bin. All right, so we've released the Kokanee salmon fry into the spawning channel. They're off with their friends to go down to Okanagan Lake. So anytime in the next few days, if you happen to be near Mission Creek, remember that these fry are in there making their way down to the lake to start the next part of their journey as Kokanee salmon.
to thank them for coming.
And I would like to thank Zach. You can wave to the camera, Zach, and his brother
Thanks, Oliver.
Oliver.
Thanks,
you
Zach,
so
for
much,
coming.
Our Kokanee salmon experts for helping us release the fry.
Some of the viewers said, "Yay, Speedy and Racer."
Yay! Yeah. They're zooming their way down there. I have a good feeling about those two.
Yeah.
And you can visit us on youtube.com/regional district for all of our past Instagram live programming. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.